of COVID. A normal curriculum night would be, I would have you in our classroom. I would make you sit in little chairs just like your kids do. And I would have you looking at their work and, just really like experiencing what it feels like to be in a classroom. We're not able to do that tonight. But my goal is to help you have an understanding of basic first grade curriculum. So what's being asked of me. I will tell you kind of where we're at as a group, because I'm sure you're kind of curious and wondering, like, how is this year different? For most of you, I'm assuming this is the first year your kids have ever been in school full time with a group of kids ever, other than like daycare and preschool and things like that. So, that's a huge thing. So, in terms of our schedule for tonight, I've been talking all day, so my voice is already scratchy, but I'm going to try to get through this information. And then I want to leave the bulk of the time to the end of the meeting to just answer questions. You guys can talk with one another. I mean, it can be the type of meeting you need it to be. So to start off, I'm going to actually be sharing a slide presentation. This is similar to the one I showed last year, but it's different in that this year we're actually able to do so much more curriculum than we were last year. So that's a huge, exciting thing for me as a teacher. So I am going to share this slideshow. At least that's the idea. Here we go. Like I said, I'm like, let's see if I can find it. I'm rusty on this screen. Okay. Okay, now I might rely on some of you who I know to help me. Hey, Darren, can you see my slideshow? Thumbs up? Sweet. Thanks for helping me out. Okay, so hi, I'm Mrs. P. My real name is Jamie. My last name is Papineau. I teach first grade and I am your kiddos teacher, and I am so excited to be here with you all tonight. Curriculum night is one of my favorite things. I just want to recognize that these last 2 years have been crazy town. So there have been highs to COVID, like the picture at the top. There have been lows to COVID, like the picture at the bottom. And I had to throw the one in the middle, which is very small, which is like my life with 2 teenagers, which is like, me asking what she needs. And she's like, my friends, other people, my life back. And I'm just asking what she wants to eat, right? So I just want to recognize that you all have been through a lot, as well as your kiddos, and that none of this has been regular or normal, and that we all have to give grace to ourselves and to each other. And I have to remind myself that every day. So I just kind of want to put that out there in the open, that that's like our reality. Here's some quick info about me. For those of you that are like new to BF Day, or I haven't had one of your kiddos before, this will be my 11th year at BF Day, which is crazy. This is my 22nd year as a teacher, which is also super crazy. I keep this picture up here of the Lilacs because I grew up in the Lilac City, Spokane, Washington. And then I went to Western Washington University, and that's where I got my teaching degree, and I got a degree in Spanish. And then I went to the University of Washington. That's where I got my master's in curriculum. And I focused there on literacy and language acquisition. And then I actually am back in school at SPU, and I'm getting an endorsement in library media. The pictures that are on here, this is just a kiddo picture. That's my name. These are the 4 first grade teachers, if you're not sure who they are. So from left to right, we're all wearing masks, but I think you can recognize us. That's Britta Steele. She's across from us. This is our new first grade teacher. She goes by Miss Leslie. This is me. This is Miss Anderson. And this up top is my family. My husband is Caleb, and I have 2 daughters. The younger one on the left, her name is Audrey, and she graduated from BF Day a few years ago. And then my older daughter is Ella. She is a junior at Ballard High School. So, and Audrey's over at Hamilton. So we still have, sorry, I'm letting people in. those are my kiddos. I also have a really naughty puppy, Bernie, who's a corgi, and we have 2 orange fluffy cats that I talk to the kids about a lot, so you might hear about them. Let's see. I want to make sure everybody can see everything. Okay. Gosh darn. Really don't. Teams is such a mess. Okay. I want to make sure everybody is in that needs to be in. Sorry, guys. Like I said, these are like old skills for me. Okay, back to what we were doing. Since you haven't been in school, this is our classroom. So this is what your kids walk through every day. So we come through the door right here in the line. They get a pump of hand sanitizer or wash their hands, and then we walk into class. And this is kind of through the door. And then this is kind of how the seats are. So you can kind of get an idea how like they're 3 feet apart and they're all facing forward, and it's full. It's a really full room. This is just kind of a snapshot of one of the corners of our room, like, you know, full of books, and the little blue bins on top are their personal book bins that we collect. So this is where your kids are every day. I call it the tree house because we're up in the corner of the school, up in the trees. So we can always look out and kind of see what nature is doing, which is fun. Okay, so now to first grade. First grade is a lot of practice. It's a lot of work. And every day we're doing reading and writing and thinking and math and listening. These are things that we practice every single day. As far as homework goes, BFDA's policy is not to assign traditional homework in grades K through 3. And BFDA has instituted that for many years now. Coming up soon, though, first graders are expected to do 20 minutes of reading practice each night at their just right level, or I'm also going to be having kids practice particular skills. So some kids aren't quite reading yet, which is A-okay, which means they just need some more practice with identifying letters and sounds. And so we'll just work on that until we build up our reading muscles and we get there. In terms of student progress, I'm constantly assessing kids. I don't do it in a really formal way, but I'm doing it all the time to kind of inform what I do. You can expect 3 report cards a year and a conference in November. And of course, you can meet with me anytime. I'm happy to meet with you. I know that right now they're requiring us to do meetings on Teams. I'm hoping that that will get adjusted, particularly as like vaccines come out and those of us adults that are vaccinated. I'm hoping they'll loosen that because I really value in-person interaction, but we can still do it this way. In terms of behaviors, in our classroom, we stick with really clear expectations for behaviors, and we focus on positive. So giving second chances, expecting the best in everyone. What I look for are repetitive behaviors. So if something goes on for a really long time over and over again, that's when you may hear from me. We try to problem solve most of the time in the classroom because that's where things are happening, right? It's hard for kids to connect it later on. So, but if something's ongoing, you can count on hearing from me. And then first grade field trips. We have not had field trips in a zillion years, but if we are allowed to, I will let you know and we will work something out because these kids are itching to get out of the building. So we will work on that. Okay, nitty gritty stuff. Okay, so this is our English language arts instruction. If you ever see that ELA acronym, that's what it stands for. It's reading and writing and all of the things that go into doing that. So this curriculum was adopted 3 years ago. I was actually on the committee that helped with the adoption. It was a really interesting process. It's a great set of curriculum in terms of meeting kids' social emotional needs as well as their academic needs. So first grade units of study, we do fiction, expository nonfiction, and narrative nonfiction. So the differences there are like expository would be like the nonfiction that you're used to, and narrative nonfiction is more of like nonfiction told as a story. Kids tend to really like that type of text. For writing, I teach the kids how to write a narrative, informational, and opinion piece of writing. Other components we do are daily independent reading. We work on handwriting. We build a vocabulary. We work on grammar skills For example, knowing what a noun is and a verb and an adjective. And then, of course, phonics instruction, which is like a really huge deal for first grade. This is always a favorite slide of mine. So first graders go on an amazing journey. And it's one of the reasons I love this grade so much is because they start out in one place and they grow by leaps and bounds. So that the writing example you see at the top is like a beginning of the year, what I'm going to call typical writing example. And you're going to notice that they're relying on the picture a lot. They're able to spell a few words here and there and use some invented spelling. You're noticing that many of their letters are capital letters. And that's kind of where it is. Everything is really spaced out. Now by mid-year, they've got more of a handle on, oh, this is uppercase, this is lowercase. They're working on having like a beginning, middle, and end to their writing. And you'll see more like traditional sentence forms. And then toward the end of the year, you're going to see kids be able to write over multiple pages because they've built up their stamina. All those little tiny muscles in their hands are stronger. They're able to really use their best guess spelling because they have so many more phonics rules on board. And they're much more consistent with punctuation and capitals and things like that. So it's a journey. And we talk about this all the time in class, how none of us are the same exact height. None of us have the same exact shoe size or clothing size, but we're all growing, right? And so that's the perspective that I have the kids take, and I hope that we'll all be able to take as a community for them, is that they're all growing and they're right where they need to be right now. And just as we would kind of like be worried as parents if somehow our kids stopped growing, that's exactly when I worry, right? So when I don't see this line, like you see at the pediatrician office, keep going up, that's when I worry, right? So it doesn't matter at this point where we're starting, but that we're continuing to grow. So along with that, you'll see the same difference in like the books that they are paired with. So kids, and I want to just use this word, like generally or typically, right? These are not general and typical times, friends. So just know that the text at the top is where first graders in general enter first grade. Okay, lots of kids aren't there yet, and that's okay. We're going to get there. This is a middle of the year example, and then this is another mid-year example. Whoop. And then thinking about more words being on a page, vocabulary building, less picture support as they go through the levels of their books. And I'm going to talk about levels in just a moment. So keeping in mind that as they build more phonics skills, right, they're going to be able to handle different complexities in their text. This is a super cool graphic. This is very up and coming research that's kind of coming to the forefront in reading and literacy education. It's called Scarborough's Reading Rope, and it really gives a visual of all of the intricacies that kids have to sort of navigate in becoming this over here to the side, a skilled reader. And I think as adults, we forget sort of way back in time. Some of us becoming readers, it was really easy and we can't even remember, like we always could read, right? Some of us remember it being really hard, right? And maybe you can think back to like, whoa, this is what I was missing and this is why this was so hard. Or maybe you're someone who had a disability and nobody knew it, right? So when you look at these two ropes, this kind of sunset colors up here, this has to do with all of that, you know, phonics work that we talk about. But down here below, this is the part where we really have to build that kids haven't had a lot of practice with because of COVID, is just experience with language, talking to lots of different people, input, output, vocabulary building, right? All of the types of things that are equally important in this all being woven together. So the science of reading is actually coming to the forefront, which is super great because now they've been able to map brains and all of that. I'm a big nerd with this stuff, you can tell. Okay. This is just the stages of development. I'm going to print this and send it to you because you can't even see it. Okay. I know that probably from your kindergarten teachers, you may or may not have gotten wind of these like levels, right? Like, oh, I'm a level C or I'm a level H or whatever. Okay. First of all, I want to make sure that kiddos are not thinking of themselves as a level. Okay, nobody's a level, right? And here's the other thing that a lot of people don't know about levels is the levels were actually never really intended for kids. They were intended for teachers. Teachers were to use the levels to help them be informed about what they needed to teach their students. What happened over time is that we wanted to match books to kids where they would be challenged, but not like pushed so hard that they were like giving up, right? And so the levels got attached to books. And then we told kids, oh, you're this level. Okay. So all that being said, currently my books are leveled. They are leveled. Because that was the assessment tool that originally was at BFDA. That assessment tool is going away. I've used a completely different assessment tool. That being said, I will talk to your kids about reading in a range, right? And about when books feel just right and when they feel too easy and too hard, and what builds our reading muscles the most, right? I know as parents, we always want to know, is my kid okay? Like, is my kid typical? Okay, so we're gonna have to sort of like rest our brains and realize that like what is right now. So here we are in September. There are many kids that are coming into first grade right now that are still solidifying letters and sounds. So they're not even gonna be at a level yet. And that's okay, because that's just how it is. So when we look at these benchmark levels, let's think about what benchmarks are, right? It's a mark in time, right? And so we just, as I said before, we want to watch kids continue to grow. So these are pre-COVID things. And I just want us to all like really be flexible with those things, because the other thing that people often don't know about levels is that your kid could may be able to read everything they wanted to read. But for example, if I asked a student to retell me what they had just read, if they can't retell it to me, then that's not really reading, right? That's just reading the words. It's not actually making meaning. So there's lots going on in reading just in the words. Yeah. And that brings me to the glorious red folder, which I've used for many years. But this year I'm kind of altering it, and I'm also going to be sending home anything I think might help your kiddo continue to grow at school. So that may mean extra practice with matching letters and sounds, or extra practice building the muscles in their hands for handwriting or tracing things, right? So that they kind of really build that control inside their hand. It may mean basic math practice, like counting. So it's really going to just be a folder of hopefully fun, interactive things that you can do together. That isn't going to be a drudge, but is going to actually uplift them and help them be able to show what they can do with you at home. It's supposed to be a happy time, for sure. So I've been talking. I'm like midway through, but I'm going to stop presenting to see if there's any questions so far, because I'm just a big talker. You can show me with a raised hand or an icon. Jake, I see your hand.
When are the red folders with books and stuff going to start?
So gratefully, I have Friday to work since the kiddos aren't coming to school, and that's my goal, is to get all those packed up on Friday and send them out on Monday. I'm trying to make it so that folders and pockets and all of that jazz will be on the same day all the time. But right now, in terms of preparation, it's just not working that way. So they'll probably get them Monday, bring them back Friday, and then it'll be Friday to Friday from then on. So it's going to take a moment for me to get some traction. It's kind of a lift. Yeah, any other questions I can answer about reading or literacy or development? And, you know, the first grade teachers and I were talking. I'm also super happy to do a completely separate meeting one night just about reading and writing, and any questions you have. If you want to know more about development and how it works and all of that, because I could talk forever about that stuff. I don't want to bore you guys, but definitely things I can answer. So yeah, for sure. And I want to share with all of you that, you know, the kiddos who weeks 1, 2, and 3 would say, Miss P, I don't read. I can't read. They're not doing that anymore at all. even the kiddos that they really can't read yet. Do you know what they're doing? They've got their little finger out and they're looking for the letters they know, or they're telling their own story in their own words, looking at the pictures. So they're doing the work of readers, and they're starting to see themselves as readers, and that's the important part, right? We got to have that there before we can keep going. It's hard work becoming a reader, and it's risky, risk taking. All right, here we go. Back to my monologue. All right, here we go. Math. Okay, so we go on this grand adventure in math in first grade. So there are so many topics, and in some cases they do what we call spiraling, right? So we do it with one set of numbers, and then we build and we get to a higher set of numbers, and by the end of the year we're doing the same types of things up to 120. Okay, so by the end of the year, okay, that's kind of what I'm gonna say here. I'm gonna admit these folks. Come on in. Okay, so by the end of the year, right, we're going to be able to read, write, and count to 120. Most kids have no problem with the counting. They have trouble with the reading and sometimes with the writing, okay? We're going to add and subtract within 20 fluently. We're going to understand place value. We're going to be able to compare numbers. We're going to be able to tell time to the hour and half hour, which I love / hate that, because then they all can tell time and they're always like on me, like, Miss P, it's not time yet. I hear it all the time from them. Okay, and then let's see. Oh no, what happened to this? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna reshare. Sorry guys, I'm so rusty with Teams. If we were in person, we'd be perfecto. Okay, cool. So back to what we were doing. There we go. Okay, so also we do a study on shapes. So both what we call plane shapes, were like flat shapes, and three-dimensional shapes, as well as fractions with that unit, right? So how to divide shapes equally, how to identify fractions within a shape. We do what I tell the kids, and it's true, equality, which is algebra for first graders. It's really about balancing sides, and it's super fun. They get a kick out of the fact that they're doing algebra. We work on word problems all year long. These are tricky business, and so we keep at it. We will get to 2-digit addition with and without regrouping. We will do standard and non-standard measurement. Goodness sakes. We will, just talked about fractions, and everybody's favorite, data or data. So we do picture graphs, we do bar graphs, and depending on their interest level and how much they're into it, sometimes we do pie graphs and we do line graphs. Some years kids really get into it, and so we spend extra time on it. You're going to notice different types of math materials coming home. Seattle Public Schools is in an adoption process period for math materials. The curriculum they adopted years ago, Math in Focus, is our primary curriculum, but we don't use it a ton. We also supplement from many other programs. So what we use to guide our instruction are the mathematical standards, and then we choose the materials we think are going to be a best fit for the students that are in our classroom. So that's kind of how we make those decisions. Trying to make it a combination of building our fluency, having things within their hands, so like hands-on, whether it's manipulatives or with their whiteboards, and then being able to practice the skill. We have a few units of study we do in social studies. We do needs and wants. We do our community. Toward the end of the year, we'll do a unit on maps, which kids adore. I've mentioned quickly before that we use positive discipline and second step as our social emotional curriculum at BFJ. And so we do a lot of work with that, particularly right now as we're setting up our classroom community. We have a brand new science curriculum. It is so cool. It's called Amplify, and in a moment I'll show you a little bit more about it. But first grade has 3 units of study: animal and plant defenses, light and sound, and spinning earth. And the way this curriculum works is it is based on phenomena, okay? So in the real world, based on a real world problem. And this is kind of a shift. The curriculum is based on what are called next generation science standards. So think about sort of the old way that you were taught science, right? That's on the left, like learning about something, memorizing things, explaining things. I mean, for me, I remember a vocabulary word, underline it, define it, right? Now the shift is toward helping kids figure out things on their own, seeing how ideas fit together, explaining their thinking through models and evidence and arguments, and understanding the how or why behind something, right? So here are the problems that our units will revolve around. So for the animal unit, we end up having this dilemma with this turtle who's being kept in an aquarium. And the aquarium is going to release it out into the wild. So the kids go through this journey of coming up with ways that the sea turtle can survive in the ocean after the aquarium releases it. And so then you can kind of see these are not grade 1 examples, but they're examples of how they're using real world problems. So in grade 3, it's how is it possible for a train to float? In grade 4, it's how can a mother dolphin and her calf communicate underwater when they cannot see each other? Right? So it's science based on questioning, which is how science works in the real world, which is very refreshing, right? So this will be my first year teaching this curriculum. We had lots of training in the summer, so I'm super excited about it. And we haven't started it yet, but we should be starting it probably in 2 weeks. Time is our goal. So here's a little bit more about positive discipline. It's based on some philosophies, such as that when kids have a sense of belonging and significance, it helps them feel better and succeed better at school. And when they feel like they belong and they matter, they can learn. Adults, their role is to be kind and firm, but to understand where the student is coming from, and everything is focused on solving problems. The response to like inappropriate behavior is to focus on a solution and to be a detective, right? Like, what is the belief behind this? Like, what is the student really needing? And we see mistakes as opportunities to learn and to try again. And that mistakes are actions people make. Nobody is a mistake, right? So we've been working a lot on this lately, just building up our classroom community and our skills. So I'm getting toward the end of my vast monologue. You've probably figured out I send newsletters out on Sunday, usually afternoons. My signups I do via Sign Up Genius, via links, and I will be sending you a link soon, if you can believe it, for November conferences. I will be offering a Saturday conference schedule as well. So for those of you that cannot make a weekday conference, that will be available. You've probably figured out I communicate mostly through email. I'm always available though if you would like to schedule a phone call. So please make sure I have your email and that you're receiving everything from me. Again, here's my email at school. And if there's anything you ever need to talk about, I'm always available to you. I try to respond within 24 hours, but sometimes I'm not always perfect at that because I have kiddos of my own. But know that your kiddos are a priority to me as well. And so I always want to make sure that you and I are connected and that your kiddo knows that we're both there to support them and care about what's going on for them in their learning. So that is the end of first grade in curricular form. But I would love to hear what additional questions you might have right now. And again, if you are interested in diving deeper into any of these topics, please shoot me an email. I know that other first grade teachers are doing the same, and we're definitely going to plan some first grade evenings along the way, as I know that this is a heavy lift. This is your kid's first time being in school. I'm not in your house every day on an iPad. I know that's different, right? So yeah, it's kind of weird being disconnected from probably the way that you've gotten used to school. So any questions I can answer? Thank you, Jake. I'm so glad you're asking questions.
Hey, so what's the kind of behavior like in the class, like in terms of, you know, following rules and following kind of, you know, your suggestions and stuff? Like, I mean, it's obviously with first graders, it's never going to be, you know, completely non-cozy, but how does it feel compared to previous years?
So I would say, in answer to your question, I think kind of similar to my discussion about reading and writing, I think kids have had lots of different experiences during quarantine. Some kids remained in kind of a group setting, either in a daycare or a pod or something like that. And some kids really were mostly alone or just with their family members, right? And then we're all covered in masks. Okay. So the information that we often get from people's faces, right? And those of you that have known me for a while, you know I'm pretty animated. Like there's not really any second guessing what I'm thinking or feeling. I think that that's kind of we're in different places with that in our classroom right now. Some kids also their temperament is kind of prepares them a little bit better to be more flexible or patient, right? It's hard for kids to share me with all their classmates, right? That's a hard area right now. Like I want to be with Miss P. No, you don't get Miss P, right? And there's like 17 or 18 of us and they all want and need attention. Or like problem solving is tricky, right? Like working through problems and kind of having that like sort of stamina to slow down and be like, that made me feel sad, like, can we work out a problem? It's tends to be more reactive right now. So we're doing a lot of like slowing down and really learning how to use our words with each other. The other thing is like, because we can't see our faces, a lot of kids are making what I would call assumptions about other kids. Like, you were trying to be mean to me, or you pushed me, or I had that, or like, they're making assumptions about other kids' behaviors, right? Because they're just making the assumption that kids are kind of out to get them. It's just something that it's a muscle that we're all going to have to build back in because they just haven't had it, right? So
that changed from previous years, yeah. Sounds
yes,
like.
absolutely. They have way less practice with it. Yeah. And their stamina, so like their ability to do something for an extended period of time is very short right now. It's very short. So we do increments of like 8 minutes, 12 minutes, move on to the next thing, right? And same story. Some kids could probably handle longer, but I kind of try to do like a happy medium. I don't do the lowest and I don't do the highest. I try to find like a stamina rate right in the middle and see how it goes. And we try to just set goals and try to make it bigger and bigger every day. But yeah, it's tough. Just got to roll. Yeah, unique.
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask about if the kids have to stay home for any reason. Ava has been kind of gone, but what is the best way to support them at home?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So this has been sort of a tricky thing that, us as teachers, we've been talking about because, I mean, to be like really honest, it's like asking, like, can you do two jobs, right? Can you be like an in-person teacher and then like also support learning at home? Like, it's like, right? So in my mind, the way I think about it is wanting to support kids the way I would if they were out like on a vacation or something like that. So in my mind, if a kiddo's home for like 2-3 days ill, that's okay, because if they're ill, what I want them to do is I want them to rest, hydrate, rest some more, get better, come back, right? But if, say, they have to be in quarantine, like a family member got ill or whatever, now we're talking a longer period of time, right? And that's going to mean that we communicate, and then I will look ahead in curriculum and I will create a packet that either you can pick up or I can even drop off. I did this in the spring with some families that like they were all in quarantine. And I just would drop it off in a paper bag and with some books and all of that. And then they would like leave it on their doorstep and we'd trade it out. But kind of as an as needed thing, because I always want it to be connected to what we're doing. Like, there's a time and place for busy work, but I also want to honor the fact that like if your family's sick and the grown-ups are sick, like, I don't want anyone to stress out about homeschooling their kiddo. Like, like, this is life. So I think what I would appreciate is just like communication. Like, hey, this is our situation. We think she's going to be out for X days. What are your thoughts, right? And I could look forward and be like, okay, I know where this student is at. Here's what I think would be helpful for them, right? Because not every kiddo is the same. And this is what it will look like when they return. Or like, if it's longer, like, great, I can prepare a packet for you by X day and get an iPad to you or what have you. Does that make sense? I hate to like not give you like a real solid, firm, like, this is what will happen, but I think it's more kind of responsive to like your individual kiddo if I do it that way,
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. I see another hand there. Go ahead. Just pop in.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm Isla's mom.
Hi.
I had a question about, I don't know if I missed this. I had to run downstairs for a second, but about tailoring any work within the classroom to different abilities.
Yeah. So we are slowly getting there. So the thing that I have to teach the kids in general to be able to do before I can do that is to work independently. So when I'm able to have groups of students work independently, then I can work with the groups at their just right level. So you are spot on and you're right where we're heading. So what happens is that I've already assessed the kids. So I kind of know what they need next. Now my next step is to be able to create time within our schedule where, okay, this group of students are going to be listening to a book, and this group of students are going to be building words and practicing. Now this group of students is going to be with me, and we're going to be reading a book and working on phonics skills at their level so that they can move forward. So that's the most important way that I do that. Another way that I do that is often the assignments that I create are what I call open-ended. So depending on how the kids want to approach it, they can kind of make it their own. So for example, I might have an open assignment on building a number bond or something like that, but they get to choose the numbers. So kiddos that are only comfy with numbers below 10, they work with numbers below 10, but say there's a kiddo that wants to push themselves and work with numbers to 50, go ahead, or 100, go ahead, right? I think that, because this is like school and we're all in school, I think some of the kids are still kind of like figuring out that Miss P is okay with that. Like, you can do you. And so, and we're like learning that about each other, right? Because some teachers don't always want kids to kind of go off and do their own thing, but I encourage creativity because that to me is part of differentiation. Is if you want to do it a different way or you have a better idea, please, by all means, right? So those are the two main ways that it will show up most recently. Yeah.
I'm going to ask another question too.
You go for it.
We were wondering about when the kids could bring home books.
Starting, hopefully, right, Jake? Monday. So I was saying that I'm going to try to use the Friday when the kids aren't there to get my act together. Because it's like, you guys haven't been in my room. Well, Unique has, and Jake and Darren have, and Jamie and, yeah, some of the parents have, but I have like thousands of books. I have so many books, and I send kids with a lot of books. So when I start it, it's like this crazy like transition. You'll see. But and the kids, they are adoring reading, and so it's coming. I promise. I promise. I need like 4 more of me, and I would have it. Yeah. How we doing out there? Anybody else have a wondering? Oh, I can finally switch this to large gallery. Maybe. Ah, there you all are. I was missing a few faces. I will give you, to fill the silence, I will tell you that your kids are doing a great job. They are keeping those masks up. They are being kind about it. I mean, sometimes they fall down our noses, right? And they are they're keeping each other accountable. They're being troopers. I mean, this isn't an easy way to do school. And it's not, I'm going to say it's not easy for me as a teacher either, because I would never have kids sitting in rows and single desks. I just wouldn't. I'm a table teacher. I have kids at tables and we share things and that's how I teach, right? So this is hard for me too. I don't get to have kids on the rug and be interacting with them and all of the things that, I do to like really keep them engaged and moving. I mean, that's why we're constantly doing all these brain breaks, because I can't do the movement that we used to do. So if your kiddos say they're sitting a lot, they are. And it's the worst. It's the pits. So I'm trying to get creative. I mean, the teachers and I, we've been talking, like, how can we sit? Can I have 4 kids on a rug? And if we each sit at the corners, like, what can we do? Because, we know, even as adults, we know it's not good for any of us to be sitting like that, right? So I'm working on it. I'm trying to get creative. I will not hang your child from the ceiling, but I'm coming close. We need some options. So I am just really hopeful that, a vaccine's going to come our way and we can sort of like reset in the spring. Also, it'll be nicer out and we can take clipboards outside and we can, do some more activities outside, and they'll have the like stamina and, maturity to be able to handle it. So that'll be great too. So, but they're working so hard, and they're just the dearest group of kids. They're so sweet. And just, they care about each other, and which says so much about all of you as parents. They want to do school, and they want to do well, and they want to try, and they're a team. And so I just want to thank you all for all of the support you give them. I know it's not easy, but you're all doing a great job. So keep it up. We have a super healthy class, knock on wood. I know we've had kids at home with sniffles, and that's the thing we forget, right? Kids are supposed to go through like sniffles and colds and things in elementary school. Like, that's part of building our immune system. So like, we're going to get colds and stuff, and maybe it's like a real cold and not COVID, right? So we forget about these things that, like, yeah, we get stomach flu in first grade. We get runny noses. It happens. So if that happens in your house, okay, immune power. So I think now we're just like, if anybody's sick, it's like alert, right? We forget about it. We're going to have all these like 6th and 7th graders like getting flu when they're in middle school because they never went through it in kindergarten and first grade. Ugh. Yeah. Well, if there are not any other questions, I encourage you, if you do have any, I see you, Ava. That's beautiful. You are such an artist. I encourage you to send me an email if you have any additional questions, or if like this is not your platform. I know it's hard to speak online. I see you, Isla, you pretty girl. Oh, and I see Kenna too. Oh my goodness. Oh! Who do I see? And I see a Holden. Oh my gosh. Look at all of you. You get a double dose of Miss P in one day. Man, I thought you'd be sick of me. And a Luca too? I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. Oh, look it. There's a Regan. I don't have anybody to show you behind me. Nobody, just me. I know. Down in my dungeon. But please reach out to me if you have any questions or any further interest in talking about some topics. Don't forget, there's no school for kiddos on Friday, so I can make those book pockets. Yeah. And other assorted things. And just know how much I appreciate you. And bringing your kids to me every day to do it again and again and again. They're doing great. So in first grade, we end our day with a double high five. You guys, should we make all the grown-ups do a double high five? Can you show them how to do it? You ready? Ready, set. That's how we end our day. Yeah. Oh, James, your little brother's so cute. Oh my goodness. Ah, Kenna, I love it. I love it. All right, kiddos and grown-ups. Thank you for attending this evening's presentation. See you all very soon.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening. Doggies too.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.